The Denver Radio Club Net will begin at 8:30. This is K0TR. QSD from the Denver Radio Club. Welcome to the Denver Radio Club Net, being held on repeater W0TX. This is a meeting held on air every Sunday evening at about 8:30 p.m. Good evening. My name is Jim. My call sign is Kilo Zero Tango Oscar Romeo. I'll be your net control station transmitting from Littleton, Colorado. If there is any emergency or priority traffic during this net, say break at any pause, and the net will be suspended until the emergency priority traffic is completed. This net is for Denver Radio Club members and all interested radio amateurs. We're here to share information concerning any ham-related activities. Regular meetings of the Denver Radio Club are held on the third Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. And with the COVID-19 restrictions, we use Google Meets, and we have virtual meetings. And you can get the address for that website on our website, the W0TX.org. Or if you're on their mailing list, you'll get an email that lists the address for that website. Our next meeting will be on March the 17th, and the Elmer session is held just prior to that at 6 p.m., and this session addresses any amateur radio questions that you might have. So whether you're new to amateur radio or interested in some new application of amateur radio, this is a session where you can get help. Also, every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m., except the third Wednesday when a monthly meeting is held, there's a learning net held on 145.490 megahertz and 448.625 megahertz. This is another area where you can find answers for your amateur radio-related questions. As a general interest club, we provide emergency communication for the Salvation Army, City of Wheat Ridge Police Department, City of Lakewood Police Department, West Metro Fire District, and St. Anthony's West Hospital. We're always looking for members who would like to participate in this support. Please contact our club president if you'd like to help. Our current president is Jerry Vilhauer, W0GV. Jerry's telephone number is 303-467-0223. The Denver Radio Club website address is www.w0tx.org. Again, Jerry's telephone number is 303-467-0223. Denver Radio Club also participates in the ARRL Volunteer Examiner Program. But again, with the COVID-19 restrictions, we have to make sure we have adequate room for testing so we can get the proper spacing between those that are taking tests. And we try to post that information on our website and also pass it on here on this net. If you have questions other than that, you can contact our VE team lead, Tom Kachalski, KC2CHE, and his number is 720-284-1911. This is the Denver Radio Club Net, W0TX, and this is K0TR serving as net control. Are there any special announcements or bulletins for the net this evening? If so, please call now.
K0 VBA.
KA0 VBA, Curtis, go ahead.
Thank you, Jim. Well, we're still continuing our study for the general examination. We're reviewing again the section G7C, which has to do with the block diagrams of transmitters and receivers, especially single sideband. Well, not just single sideband. So we're going to do that again Tuesday until we get it, until everybody has it in mind. So the Zoom ID is 303-424-7373, and it's 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock on Tuesday evening. Thank you, Jim. K0 VBA.
KA0 VBA, this is K0TR. Thank you, Curtis. We appreciate that. And before I move on, any other announcements, special announcements or bulletins for the net, please call now. All right, before regular check-ins, I'd like to welcome and invite any visiting radio amateurs to check into the Denver Radio Club Net this evening. During this net, we disable the requirement for the 100 Hz PL repeater access tone, so you can use either 145.490 megahertz with a minus 600 kilohertz offset, or 448.625 megahertz with a minus 5 megahertz offset. Are they visiting radio amateurs who would like to check into the Denver Radio Club Net tonight? If so, please call now. Next, I'd like to welcome and invite any newly licensed or recently upgraded radio amateurs to check in. Please call now.
This is KF0DGE, Kilo Foxtrot 0 Delta Golf Echo, recently upgraded to Extra. Andrew in Denver.
And Net Control would like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-in. KF0DGE, Andrew. Congratulations, Andrew. You made it to the top of the hill there, so be able to use all the frequencies, all the applications, and proceed ahead to full speed. So just out of curiosity, what was your approach to preparing for your extra test?
Hamstudy.org was the major resource, and then YouTube videos as well were helpful to fill in some of the context and gaps. back to net.
Oh, very good. That's a big step, and I'm sure you're relieved to get through that one. So, welcome to the family of extra class licensees. Enjoy your privileges and put it to good use. Now you've got wide open areas as far as what type of application you need to go off and conquer. So that's a job in itself. So all I can say is enjoy, and again, congratulations. Make one more call. We have any other newly licensed or recently upgraded radio amateurs who'd like to check in? Please call now. All right, I'll now take regular check-ins in groups, and please let me know if you have traffic when you check in. I'll get back to you. First, radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters A through E, Alpha through Echo. Please call now.
110, Delta Papa Romeo, call in Aurora.
Kilo Delta Zero Delta Uniform Juliet, Denver, no traffic.
N0ETV, Lance, Aurora, no traffic. November 5, Charlie Mike Kilo, Greg in Denver, no traffic.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Charlie Baker Lima, Ed in Arvada, no traffic.
Here is N0DBS, Dawn in Denver, no traffic.
Kilo Charlie 0, Echo Foxtrot November, Dave in Aurora, no traffic.
KB0CHT, Jeff in Lakewood, no traffic.
November 0, Echo Yankee Zulu, Jim South Jeffco, no traffic.
Alpha Fox 0, Echo Alex Bromfield.
Whiskey Delta 6, Delta Oscar Kilo Rich in Arvada with traffic. Kilo Alpha 5, Delta Kilo Sierra, Ken in Arvada.
W0TX Charles in Denver, no traffic.
And Net Control, like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. K0 DPR Paul. Boy, Chris, I could barely pull out of there, but you make it through barely. KD0 DUJ Chris, awful lot of noise on your signal. And next I had N0 ETV Lance, N5 CMK Greg, KF0 CBL Ed, AF0 E Alex, WD6 is DOC Rich with traffic, and KA5DKS Ken, and W0CIV Charles. Make one more call for radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters A through E, Alpha through Echo. Please call now.
Kilo Charlie 0 Echo Foxtrot November Dave and Aurora, no traffic.
Kilo
November 0 Echo Yankee Zulu, Jim, South Jeffco, no traffic.
Kilo Charlie 0, Charlie Zulu, Bob and Thornton.
November 0, Bravo Sierra, Dawn in Denver, no traffic.
And Net Control, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. KC0EFN Dave, and I'm not sure here the next one got a double, and it's a little mix of both, I guess, but what I dug out of that was N0YEZ Jim. Did I get that right?
No, it's November 0 Echo Yankee Zulu, Jim.
All right, thanks, Jim. N0EYZ. Then I had KC0CZ Bob. I had another double, and all I got out of the whole thing there was Don. So, Don, would you come back with your call sign, and the other one there can come back and check in my second call. Go ahead, Don.
November 0 Delta Bravo Sierra.
All right, thanks. N0 DPS, Don. Make a second call for radio amateurs whose call suffix is well, I made that call once, but we'll make it again there so I can pick up the double. Alpha through Echo, please call now.
W0TX repeater.
Whiskey 0 Delta Victor Lima Craig M. Parker, no traffic.
And Net Control, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-in. W0DVL Craig. And we'll move on down the alphabet. And radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters F through J, Foxtrot through Juliet. Please call now.
KC0JV, Frank in Denver.
Whiskey 0 India Bravo Alpha, Eric in Hudson, no traffic.
Alpha 0 Juliet Kilo, AA 0 JK Fred in Arvada. Good evening, no traffic.
Net Control, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. KC0JV Frank, W0IBA Eric, AA0JK Fred. Make one more call for radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters F through J, Foxtrot through Juliet. Please call now. Moving down the alphabet, radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin in letters K through O, Kilo through Oscar, please call now.
Kilo 0 Lima Papa Romeo Lanier and Inglewood.
Whiskey 0 Lima Foxtrot, Orland and Golden, no traffic, over.
KF7 OHL in North Lakewood, no traffic.
Kilo Echo 0, Mike Golf Tango, Don and Aurora.
Whiskey 0 Mike Delta Kilo, Matt in Denver.
Kilo 0 Kilo Papa Sierra, K0 KPS, Kevin Lakewood.
KD0 NRO, Reed in Arvada.
Kilo Echo 0 Oscar Sierra India, Tom Highlands Ranch.
N0GTG, Kurt in Denver.
And Net Control, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. K0 LPR Lanier, WW0LF Orland, Kilo Foxtrot 0 Oscar Hotel Lima. Could I get a name, please?
Yeah, this is David in North Lakewood, KF7 OHL.
All right, KF0OHL, thank you, David. And next I had KE0MGT Don, W0MDK Matt, K0KPS Kevin, KA0NRO Reed, KE0OSI Tom, and N0GTG Kurt. Make one more call for radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters K through O, Kilo through Oscar. Please call out. All right, we'll move on down the alphabet. Radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters P through T, Papa through Tango. Please call now.
Kilo Echo 0, Romeo Victor Zulu, John in Lakewood, no traffic.
November 0, Tango Romeo Papa, Jim in Lakewood. Good evening.
Whiskey Bravo 2, Sierra Hotel Romeo, Stan in Denver, no traffic.
Whiskey 0, Sierra Bravo Sierra, Tony Hudson.
Kilo Bravo 9er, Quebec Delta Golf, KB 9er QDG, Carl, Lakewood, no traffic.
Net Control, like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. KE0RVZ John, N0TRP Jim, WB2SHR Stan, W0SBS Tony, and KB9er QDG Carl. Make one more call for radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters P through T, Pa through Tango. Please call now. All right, we'll move on down the alphabet. And radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters U through Z, uniform through Zulu. Please call now.
KF0UV, Marshall and Glendale.
Kilo 0, Yankee Echo Sierra, Kid at Broomfield.
KB0 UIG, Michael G, Edgewater, no traffic.
Kilo Echo 0, Victor Charlie Whiskey, John in Denver.
Kilo Echo 0, Yankee Kilo Victor, Bill in Lakewood.
W0TX Repeater.
And Net Control, like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. KF0UV Marshall, K0YES Ken, KB0UIG Michael, KE0VCW John, and KE0YKV Bill. Make one more call for radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters U through Z, uniform through Zulu. Please call now. I'll go through the entire alphabet. Radio amateurs whose call suffixes begin letters A through Z, Alpha through Zulu. Please call now.
W1 Alpha Mike Sierra, Alex in Lakewood.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Bravo Hotel Romeo, Rye and Westminster, no traffic.
And Net Control, like to acknowledge and welcome the following check-ins. W1 AMS Alex and KF0BHR. Rye? Did I get that right, Rye?
That is correct. Rye, like rye bread or rye whiskey, it's your choice. Thanks.
All right. I thought that's what I heard. Thank you. All right. There'll be a chance for late check-ins a little bit later in the net. And before I go back and cover those that had traffic that checked in, our club president didn't check in tonight, so I think our vice president checked in. Yeah, he did. I had to go back and check. K0 KPS Kevin Could you cover any club business? I don't know if you've got any information to share with us or not, but go ahead and that's yours.
Well, greetings and salutations tonight. One of the first things is the round table should probably be coming out in the next day or so. It's always a great publication to read through. So be looking for your emails for that fine publication. There's always good content in there, so keep your eyes open for that. I didn't know, Jim, if you're going to discuss it, but on St. Patty's Day, March 17th, we have our club meeting. This one's going to be on radio frequency noise. It's going to be presented by Steve, Whiskey Delta 8, Delta Alpha Sierra, which should be a good presentation on radio frequency noise. So keep your evening opening for that one, since we're all basically still quarantined to some extent. There won't be a whole lot of partying like that, on St. Patty's Day. Another thing to keep your eyes open for, there are plenty of educational opportunities for those of you that are at home. One, if you're looking for MCOM content, there is the COM Academy, comacademy.org, which will be on April 10th and 11th. It's a free event. You can go to their website and certainly see the content if you're interested in that kind of presentation, which will be virtual this year. Also, one of our neighboring clubs, Rocky Mountain Ham, always has classes that may be of particular interest. On March 13th, which is a Saturday, they have lightning protection, which would be a good topic, for those of you that have put up new antennas, especially in light of spring coming and the storms coming along. So there are some opportunities for educational endeavors. And one last thing is congratulations to our extra upgrade. It's certainly a monumental task. And that's all I have. So back to you, Jim. This is K0KPS.
All right. Thanks very much, Kevin. Appreciate you filling in for Jerry. And I don't know if you sound like you're prepared, so that's good. I hate to get somebody unprepared, so appreciate that. One other thing I might mention that Jerry did pass on earlier was that they did go in and replace the 220 repeater, went back to the older repeater because they've had problems with the new one. And so the 220 repeater is back up and running. So just another note of an upgrade or back in service for the 220 repeater. All right. Let's see. WD6 DOC Rich, you had some traffic. Go ahead, and that is yours.
Okay, Jim, thank you very much. First of all, the call is Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo. And thank you very much. I've got a question on a tuner. Maybe somebody can help me out. I've got a smart tuner, which is fed by RG8X. And the output is a wire, just you put a loop on it or in-fed or however you want to do it. My question is, can I take that with a piece of RG8X and connect it to an SO259 connector and feed it to a in-fed antenna that has a balun on it? So I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Anyway, toss it back to you, Jim. This is Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo.
All right, I don't have first-hand knowledge. Just offhand, Rich, I would say that should not be a problem. I might be missing something there. I'm not particularly familiar with that particular tuner. but it doesn't sound like you're doing anything that should not work. Anybody have any other input? Please call out. All right, I don't hear a response, but what I understood you had there, Rich, was you actually had a loop on the output of the tuner that you were tuning, and you're changing that to an end fed, I believe you said, with a ballon on it. Is that correct?
Yeah, what I want to do is put the tuner inside and feed a piece of coax out to the end-fed antenna, which does have a ballon. My question really is, will the tuner still work with that ballon on the output there? But yeah, that's basically what I like to do.
W0TX repeater.
All right, basically what your tuner is going to be looking at then is the ballon and the antenna, and so it's going to tune for a 50 ohm match. So what you have between the ballon and the antenna may not be a perfect match, but what you're going to have from your transmitter through your tuner is going to be a 50 ohm match to that load, the ballon and the antenna. So that should work out fine there. Whether you have a very severe mismatch between the ballon, I'm not sure what ballon you're using there, but I'm assuming that would be the right ballon to use for an end-fed, so I don't see a problem.
WW0LF?
Yes, Orland, go ahead.
Yeah, could I talk to was Tim Rick or Rich after the net? I want to find out exactly what his configuration is here.
All right, WD6 DOK, Rich, would that be all right with you?
Yeah, it'd be fine, Jim. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that, Orland. Be able to help him out. All right, I don't see anyone else that indicated they had traffic on the net. This is K02R, and Net Control Station. Does anyone have any other comments, information, or business for the net? If so, please call now. I guess this is just a point of information. I mentioned it earlier on previous net, but some that are on the net tonight that weren't on the last week. The Lakewood Siren test has been scheduled for May the 12th this year, and we're not sure what all that's going to entail. Not sure what the COVID virus situation is going to do between now and then, but if you'd mark that on your calendar so that you're aware of it, we appreciate it. Make one more call. Any other comments, information, or business for the net? Please call now. All right, do we have any late check-ins? Please call now. All right, I'll now review next weekend's contest and upcoming Hamfest. Let's see what we have here. Let's see, the Vermont QSO party that begins on February the 6th at 0 hour Zulu, goes through February the 7th until 23:59 hours Zulu. That's on 160 through 70 centimeters. That's a CW phone and digital contest. Next, we have the 1010 International Winter Contest on single sideband. That begins on February the 6th at 0001 hour Zulu and goes through February the 7th until 23:59 hour Zulu. Well, I'm mixed up here, I guess, because we should be going into March. I don't know whether they've got the no, it looks like this is February, so I apologize for that. So I'm going to have to get an updated list. I thought I had an updated list here, but I must have copied that out of the wrong monthly magazine. So we'll get it up straightened out for next week. One thing I wanted to mention on Hamfest is the QSO Today Expo. I mentioned that earlier. That's going to be held on March 13th through 14th, and it was very successful last fall. And as I reported earlier, they thought they would have over 60 speakers lined up. Well, they came out with a list of the speakers, and I went through and checked that, and it's got 85 speakers. So there's a real wealth of technical topics that are going to be covered. And to get the list, I'm not going to go through 85 different papers, but to get the list, you can go to their website, www.QSO Today Ham Expo, and that QSO Today Ham Expo is all one word, .com, and they'll have a title on there that you can actually click to go through and see what speakers they have. Now, the early bird tickets cost $10 this year, and I think for the trove of information they have, it certainly is worth that. And you have to get that before the day of the event. The day of the event, it goes to $12.50, and that $10 includes entry to the live 2-day period, as well as a 30-day on-demand period. So 30 days after the symposium or the expo, you can go through and review any of those presentations, both the audio and PowerPoint presentations. And so that gives you ability to cover, if not all 85, that could be quite a few to cover even in 30 days, but at least the key part that you want to cover. And I guess if you're quick, you might be able to cover 85 of those. But during the 2 days, you can certainly cover a number of those you'd be interested in, although you're going to have a lot of parallel sessions that make it impossible to cover two at once. So at least I had figured out how to do that. So anyways, another thing that I had mentioned was that they were going to have a live virtual kit building workshop this year. They're going to try that out and see how that worked. And they have now identified the 4 kits. At this time, they indicate 4. I don't know if they're going to add any or not to that. But one is learn to solder, so they have a kit that's laid out with a printed circuit board, and you end up building a 20-meter Qrp, which they call Qrp transmitter kit. They say it's fairly simple, and they've got pretty large pads on for soldering and such, so it shouldn't be that much of a problem. And that it requires it has a built-in key, and it requires a 9-volt battery, which I guess their kit that you buy would have that in there. And let's see, the next one they have is they call it an NS40 Qrp transmitter, and so these are kits that you can actually order and receive before the expo, and then during the expo they'll actually have a session where you can actually attend that, and they'll go through and give you guidance as far as putting it together and getting it built. Supposedly these are simple enough that you can build them in that 45 minutes to 1 hour presentation they have. The third one they have is building a Qrp key, so it's a CW key, and they say construction time is approximately 30 to 90 minutes, so that would be covered during the expo session. And then the last one is let's build something, the mini sudden receiver. So that's a direct conversion 20-meter receiver. And I don't know offhand what the cost of those kits are. I didn't see that. But they have websites where you would actually go to and order those kits if you're interested in doing that. So if you're into kit building and it sounds like something you'd like to do, I would certainly suggest you look into it and see what you find. All right, we'll try and continue to remind you of that as it comes up because I think that you'll find there's a real wealth of topics and such, and they have some very knowledgeable presenters, so it covers a whole raft of topics in the amateur radio regime. So you might go online, you can look at those 85 speakers, what they're going to be speaking about and such. They've got it all lined up on their website. So I would suggest you check it out. Two other reminders. The High Noon Net, they meet daily at 12 noon, where early check-ins begin at 11:30. And they meet on a frequency of 7.240 megahertz, which is on a 40-meter band. And the Salvation Army Saturnet, that meets at 1500 hours Zulu, that's 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and they meet Monday through Saturday on a frequency of 14.265 megahertz, which is on the 20-meter band. The Denver Radio Club maintains the following repeaters for use by all radio amateurs. 147.330 megahertz with a positive offset, the 145.490 megahertz with a negative offset, the 224.380 megahertz with a negative offset, the 449.350 megahertz with a negative offset, the 448.625 megahertz with a negative offset, the 447.825 megahertz with a negative offset, our digital turbo repeater operating on Brandmeister on a frequency of 446.7875 megahertz with a negative offset, and our C4 FM digital repeater on 449.775 megahertz with a negative offset. The 447.825 megahertz repeater is configured for narrowband FM, and that requires a digital coded squelch of 073. There are two repeaters on 147.330 megahertz. The repeater in Lakewood requires a 100 hertz PO tone, and the second repeater located east near Franktown requires a 131.8 hertz PO tone. We have a second repeater on the same frequency out east to improve coverage along the Front Range and into the canyons. However, having two repeaters on the same frequency that have different frequency propagations, we ask that you monitor the frequency to assure neither is in use prior to making your call. The 449.350 megahertz repeater provides wide area coverage, and this repeater hosts our Echolink station, W0TX node number 4140. And the 448.625 megahertz repeater is linked with the 145.490 megahertz repeater. Repeater on 449.775 is now a C4 FM digital only repeater. Each repeater requires a 100 hertz PO tone for activation, except as noted, and each uses standard offsets. And for packet, we have the 145.050 megahertz gateway on 2 meters that is interconnected with the 14.105 megahertz gateway on 20 meters for packet QSO. And we have a 6-meter repeater on 53.09 megahertz with an input on 52.09 megahertz with a required 107.2 hertz PO tone. Your support of the Denver Radio Club is greatly appreciated. If you'd like to participate in any of the many club activities, please contact our club president, Jerry Howard, W0GB. again, I'd like to congratulate KF0DGE Andrew for getting this extra license. Good job, Andrew. And again, enjoy those privileges. That's quite an accomplishment. For those of you that have gotten your license, you can appreciate that, and those that are working on it can really appreciate it. So, good job. And I'd like to thank everyone for checking into the Denver Radio Club Net tonight. Your support is greatly appreciated. I hope you all have a great week. 7-3. And tonight we had a total of 45 check-ins, and the Denver Radio Club Net is now closed at 9:19, and repeaters available for regular use. This is K0TR Net Control Station. Please stand by a moment while I return the PL tone to the repeater.
PL on.
And this is K0TR, and I'm clear. Good evening.
WD6DOK, this is WW0LF.
Yeah, W0LM, Whiskey Delta 6 Delta Oscar Kilo. Go ahead.
Okay, Rick, need to get a couple of questions out of the way first. By smart tuner, are you referring to an SGC tuner?
That's correct. It's an SG239, if you know which one that is.
Okay, and you said you were feeding a loop with it. What kind of loop?
Yeah, it's just a wire. I'm currently feeding it right now. I'm using it, no, never mind. I'm a different tuner, but this one I'm not. But yes, it...
Okay, and this end-fed wire with a balun, what? How are you planning to set that up?
Okay, I believe the brand name is Polarmar, and it's just got a balun on it, and infed wire about 30 feet long coming out of the top of it, and I'm just going to raise it up about 20 feet off the ground, something like that, and string it out to a post in the backyard. My real concern is whether that tuner is going to handle that balun that's in the antenna. Okay, are you planning on connecting the balun right to the SGC tuner? Yeah, there'd be about 25 feet of cable RG8X between the two. Okay, then that won't work, and the reason is, if you look on at the manuals for the SGC tuners, they tell you no coax on the output. The output from the output of the SGC tuner is everything from that point out is antenna. If you put coax on there, what you are doing is putting a very big capacitive load to ground on the output, and you'll have no RF on the other end of that 25 feet of RG8X. And I'm familiar with this. We did this with a lot of big military antennas, and the guys, when they went out in the field, they would always try putting the tuner in the hut, run coax out to whatever, a dipole or anything else, and it never would work. You have to put the tuner on the end of that piece of wire. Okay, well, great. That's what I wanted to find out. Is it just SGC tuners that are like that? I mean, I've got another LG, I can't think of the name now, what it is. It's an auto tuner. I don't have to do anything with it, and it has a coax feed on the output. So could I use that tuner?
W0TX repeater.
Are you referring to an LDG tuner, Lima Delta Golf tuner?
Roger that.
Happen to know off the top of your head what model we're talking about?
I want to say it's a 7000, or I think it's a 7000.
Okay, well that type of tuner is designed to be used with a coax feed going out to the balun. Would you know what ratio that balun is?
No, not off the top of my head. I'd have to get out on their website and take a look at it, see if they offer that.
9-to-1?
Yeah, maybe.
80JK.
Okay, yeah, the LDG tuners, if they've got a coax connector on the output, will probably work to feed that balun. If the balun is there but there's nothing on one side of the balun, then it's probably designed to be some kind of an impedance matching network rather than like a 4-to-1 or 9-to-1 balun. If you put the SGC tuner out there at the other end of the coax, so it's connected to that wire itself, that will work good, but you're going to have something, some type of radial ground system under it, some wires on the ground, or at the very least a ground rod in the ground to work that against if you're going to work it as an end-fed wire.
Comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
A80JK. Yeah, if that's a polymer kit that you bought there, you're going to be okay with the balun that it comes with, because that's designed there for that particular configuration. And question, is he going to require a counterpoise on that, or are they using the outside of the coax?
We can probably get away with using the outside of the coax as a counterpoise, but if he does that, then he's going to have something on the end there to decouple it. Otherwise, your whole ham station is going to become part of the antenna, not part of the feed line, but part of the antenna. I think your best bet would be to use that LGC tuner with it rather than the try to use the SGC, because I know for a fact the SGC will not work if you hook coax on the output.
Okay, great. That's what I wanted to find out. So the other tuner that I have is an LGC, as we talked about, as 7000, I think is the model number on it. So I feed that up to the balun for the in-fed antenna, and the coax on that is just open at that point, I believe. So I'm going to need some sort of ground radials in it. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know what that Palomar antenna is. I have to have some more information to say whether or not you're going to have something else with it. But an end-fed antenna, if you've got a balun there, a balun itself implies that on the output of the balun there are two connections, and one of those would go to a ground and the other end to that end-fed wire. If there's not two connections on that balun, it's not really a balun.
Okay, I don't have that with me, so I can't tell you how it is really configured. So they say it obviously works better with the radials. That's about all I know.
Okay, well, if they say it works better with the radials, then I would, right offhand, the first thing I would say is it probably won't work at all without radials. Because you've got to, if you're going to a balun, you're working against something else. Otherwise there's no reason to put a balun in there, because how are you going to have that impedance transformation if that output is unbalanced?
Okay. I was going to look it up here real quick. If you got a minute.
Yeah, go ahead. AA0JK, question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just brought up Palomar's InFed antenna website, and they're showing that using a counterpoise. So that eliminates the problem of having to worry about anything coming back down the coax into the shack, which is, you definitely don't want. But their diagram and everything shows a counterpoise system. You might look at the directions that came with your antenna, which it should have, and it'll have a depiction of the setup there for your antenna. So if you just go to Palomar InFed antennas, and they've got a diagram there and an explanation there of their InFed antennas, and this particular one is 80 through 10 meters, the one that I'm looking at. But will require a counterpoise, and you would think that they would add that with the antenna. But anyhow, I digress. AA0JK.
Yeah, okay. I believe the name is Fred, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, name here is Rich. Honestly, I don't have the antenna. I haven't purchased it yet. It's something I want to do, and I've got the tuner, and that's why I'm kind of asking the questions, will this even work? I did get on, I am on their website right now, and yes, it does show the counterpoise system.
Yeah, that's an excellent antenna. Excellent antenna. There, that InFed. And the Chameleon is also another excellent InFed antenna. I've got about 3 of those and have had real good luck with them, but I've heard real good reports on the Palomar, so I don't think you can go wrong. Just make sure you got that counterpoise hooked up to it, and everything else is going to be supplied with the antenna, and you shouldn't have to worry about anything else there, I wouldn't think. Just hook your coax up to it and crank up the radio.
Okay, thank you very much, Fred. And I assume the counterpoise goes with the Chameleon as well?
Affirmative. Yeah, the Chameleon also requires a counterpoise. I just run it. I've got one that's 66 foot long, and I've got another one that's 33 that I use for portable use. And I just use an appropriate length of wire there for the counterpoise.
W0TX repeater.
Okay, I was just going to probably use it mostly on 20, and I just go from there, and I'll go ahead and cut the radios for that. I appreciate the information from both of you guys. I really do appreciate it.
Okay, yeah, that 9-to-1 balun that comes with it is just right, so you don't have to worry about the balun. Just attach your coax and your counterpoise, and you should be set. Should load up quite nicely. AA0JK. Thanks, Orlin.
What kind of tuner are you using, Fred?
Well, I've got several here. I personally like the old manual ones. Got an MFJ Deluxe Versa Tuner 2 that I really like, and it's not complicated. It's simple and inexpensive, and especially when I'm out in the field, I prefer the manual antenna. But I've also got the a couple of the LDGs. I've got the 7000 here for one of my ICOMs, and I've got another one, a larger LDG in the main shack, and they are excellent, but they are for base station really applications, and the expense and everything versus a manual one, I really don't think that you gain a lot there, except for lightening up your wallet. But I'm a little prejudiced there. I like my manual tuners also. In fact, my manual tuners get more work out than the LDGs. So I'm not sure whether my money was well spent with the auto tuners, especially when the radio itself has an inbuilt tuner. Of course, I don't like particularly to use those, especially not with a wire antenna. I like my my little MFJ manual. But anyhow, that's personal discretion. Personal discretion. If you've already got the tuner, use it. AA0JK.
Okay, this is WD6 DOK. I've got on the LDG, are you using, I assume I don't know, are you using an ICOM radio with that? And if so, are you powering the tuner from the radio?
Affirmative, powered, it's ICOM 7000. The AT7000 was designed for this particular ICOM radio. And yes, it's just a plug into the radio itself and powers off of that.
Okay, I had a problem once. I don't think it was anything I did, but I don't know, maybe you can tell me. Anyway, I was using this particular tuner, and I powered the radio up, and the tuner started drawing quite a bit of current, searching for the correct configuration. Anyway, it took out the board in the ICOM, and I had to replace it. I actually went in and pulled it out and got a new board from ICOM. So I really don't want to feed the tuner off the radio anymore. I power it up separately.
Okay, well, I've never had that situation. I would have been looking for some other problems there, something with the antenna system, something like that, but I digress. I wasn't there and don't know what you're using there. So, but it's designed for this particular radio, the ICOM 7000. So I've never bothered to try to use it on anything else, seeing as how that's what its initial purpose was for. So if it wasn't used with the ICOM 7000, then there could be all kinds of issues there that could crop up there to cause those kind of problems. But if you want to eliminate all of those, just get yourself a manual tuner.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, well, this is set up for the radio that I had. It's the 7000, is that a mobile radio?
It's a small baser mobile, beautiful little rig.
And they no longer make it anymore, right? The 7100 replaced it, is that right?
7100 and then on up to the 73. I got both of them. Well, actually, all three of them here. Currently, we're on the 7300, but there again, I'm using a manual tuner.
WW0LF.
Hello, Arlen.
Yeah, I just had one more comment, and I'll punch out of here, and that is, make sure you have a choke on that feed line, because if you don't have a ferrite choke on the feed line somewhere fairly close to the radio, your radio and its local ground might become part of your antenna. You might have some RF in the shack problems or RF in running around in the cabinet problems. So make sure you've got a feed line choke on that coax. That's just the one comment I wanted to make. And yeah, these end-fed antennas are fun to work with. I've seen them used for all kinds of stuff. If I was going to do it, I'd take that SGC tuner, put it out wherever you want to hang out your antenna, and use it to feed whatever length of end-fed antenna you want. You can just throw wire out in whatever direction, and it works fine. I've done that with multi-kilowatt military radios. So anyhow, I'm out of here. Let Fred, Rick, let you guys both talk a little bit more about them. It's WD6DOK to take it. This is WW0LF out.
Okay, Orland, how about just an ugly balun?
Are you talking about just something wrapped up like a hank of coax or something as a balun, or as a choke?
Affirmative.
Yeah, that'll work, but then you're tying up a bunch more coax and whatever loss is involved in it. If you use a feed light choke, just a ferrite, couple of ferrite beads or ferrite cores on the coax, you know, you can put those on there and put some shrink tubing over it, and you got it made. Especially if are you going to use this thing portable, or are you going to use this at your home station?
I'm going to use it at a home station.
If that's the case, I'd put my SGC tuner out wherever you're going to set that antenna up and hook your end-fed that and whatever counterpoise wires you want underneath it. And that'll work great. I've used those for years in many different places.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and I didn't mean to disclose you, Orland, on this. I appreciate you coming back to me and discussing this. You answered my question, what I wanted to do or thought I could do with the SGC tuner, and I can't do that, so that's good. It answers that question. All right. Let me drop it and see if anybody else has anything to say. Okay, Frank, are we good?
W0TX repeater.
Okay, 73 Orland, and sounds like you're on your way there. Yeah, that SGC tuner, if that's what I'm thinking about, that kind of overkill there. I think you'd be just happy with just a manual tuner there rather than wrestle with an SG. Is that the large auto tuner?
No, the one I'm talking about is their small one. It's they call it a smart tuner, and I've used it. I've put it in a lack of a better word, Tupperware container, and set it out in the back, and it worked great until the Tupperware container cracked from the cold and the heat, and it got in there, and well, that caused a whole other issue. But anyway, the tuner works great.
Okay, real fine. This has been an interesting QSO. So keep us posted on how it all works out. But bottom line, keep it simple. Try to keep it simple. AA0JK, you have a good one, 7-3.
Okay, AA0JK, WD6DOK. Thank you very much, Fred. And Orland, if you're still listening, the same to you. Thank you very much for the input. I do appreciate it. And This is Whiskey Delta 6, Delta Oscar Kilo. 7-3s, guys.